Hello, Greenlight the Day people. I'm recording from my phone, so this is a little different for me. My laptop is not working well. I just wanted to expand a little bit on what JD talked about in her post from Tuesday about the soul and the soulless. This is an expansion. It is not a rebuttal or anything like that. She just really got me to thinking about the acceptance of other people's um, viewpoints, on life. And I must say that I think we in the 21st century are really challenged. We are challenged because, and I had said this in an earlier video post that didn't get uploaded, that we are challenged because we have to figure out a new language, I think, of communicating. And I think I had mentioned in the video, I called it soul speak. How do we communicate these things? You know, and how do we make the narrative, what's going on in the world, our own? I think right now the world is in such a what they call a meta narrative. Every story has to one story fits everybody, and we're learning that that definitely is not the case. Each individual story is unique, and with that I think that each vocabulary or words are unique. For example, I've worked in the social work field forever. I mean, when I was 4 years old, my daddy was a minister and I was handing out bread. So, um, but across my travels, I've met people who use different words and they mean sort of the same things as what I'm trying to say. So, what I've done in that situation is just ask more questions. I've asked about their narrative, I've asked about their story, and realizing that we're saying the same thing, just a little differently. And I think it's important what vocabulary we choose because it's our vocabulary, right? It's our meaning. Um, I think of different words, like for example, I think of the word purpose. It's been I'll use the word co opted by society to have a purpose driven life. And I don't think anything's wrong with that. But for me, that word purpose it just left me with more questions because it kept focusing on me and taking the answer outside of me. And so I, was doing some research on words, and the word that struck me was meaning. What is my meaning? What is the meaning of even existence in life? And yeah, you kind of have to dig deeper when you change vocabulary and try to find what fits for you. I was thinking too, another example, I've been reading books and they've used the word authentic. And for some reason, that word just didn't sit with me because you can have someone who's authentic and be the rudest, meanest person because they are being their authentic selves. And we could say, well, they're not really in touch with themselves, but they may not have that possibility, but they're being authentic. And so I think of the word integrity. Is integrity means we are being true to a guideline of interconnectedness and kindness and ethics. And all those words are loaded, but it gives us a rule of conduct and being true to what reality is at the moment. So I don't know, when I talk to people nowadays, and I work with every, I have to be very sensitive because I would use the word Latina to describe someone from a Spanish heritage, and a lot of the clients I work with prefer Hispanic or Chicana. And then working with Native Americans, they prefer American Indian. And it's important that we claim, our own words and to be respectful of that. I think the second biggest challenge we have living in the 21st century, or what they call postmodernity, is that I don't even know if I have a word for this, but well, just to give you an example, like for example, where I go to school, there's a Chick-fil-A, and Chick-fil-A has been in the news because they don't support gay marriage, and they're a very religious organization. So a couple of my classmates were going to boycott them and asked me if I would go, and I said, no, I don't want to go. Um, Not saying that I agree with their stance, but that is their stance. And just because it's not the popular stance right now doesn't mean they don't have a right to to maintain that. And if I didn't agree with them, then I would not buy any food from Chick-fil-A. It's a very challenge that we have to include, and yet acceptance doesn't mean just because I accept it doesn't mean that I agree with it. How do we include others and yet remain committed to our own belief systems? That's a really big challenge. Was it Hobby Lobby? Hobby Lobby was in the news because they are not supporting women's reproductive rights. I think in particular, abortion and some forms of birth control. And so I thought I would get a human resources point of view, someone who works in human resources, someone who's going to be affected by this ruling if a lot of small businesses, well, I shouldn't say small, but if certain businesses are not forced to provide this care. And this person who's been working in human resources for at least 10 years, you know what she told me? She goes, I don't think it's the employer's job to provide benefits anyway, because it takes the onus off the government to provide benefits that are necessary for its citizens, which is why countries like Sweden and Norway have up to 3 years maternity and childbirth leave with pay, because their citizens said, our women need this. That was an interesting point of view. I had never heard that before. But that's what I mean. We have to be open to listening to the other voice. And I really appreciate Janie's, example of the people that she talked with that don't believe in necessarily a God or a soul. And I just, ask that we speak with people and get to know their narratives and their stories. And what we'll find, and what I find more and more as I, serve more people, is that we're really more alike than we are unalike. And unfortunately, words have a way of driving a wedge between us. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you, and I hope you have a great day.